Welcome back here on Prime Morning. It's time for us to get into the newspapers. It's News Flash this morning. We said big thank you to Nutri Snacks, and it's a family thing. Make sure you go get yours. Go into the supermarkets and ask for them. You can buy it from anywhere. So yeah, it's really, really delicious. All right. So make sure you go and grab some for yourself. Food Lovers is making it possible for you to have the best of rice for the family gathering, for the occasions that will bring you lots of memories. You need Food Lovers fragrance rice to make it happen. And so make sure you go into the supermarket, and anytime you want to make anything out of rice, it has to be Food Lovers fragrance rice. It's a special rice, and we're making sure that we all get to enjoy the very best of it. And that's how we actually begin our news flash this morning here on the show. So in the studio to help me with the conversation, I've got in here Mr. Pagrave Wachidankwa. He's from the NPP. He's government spokesperson on governance and security. And he's joining us for the second time this week. And after that victory, I'm sure it will be proper for him to put something that will reflect that. And so the whites did the magic this morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning, KMJ, and a very good morning to your viewers. It's good to be here. But really to say that it's victory for the New Patriotic Party, and also our deepest condolence from Ghana and the entertainment industry to Tina Turner.
Yeah.
We loved her songs.
Yeah.
I mean, her songs were such a thrill when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s. And so it's good that she came to give us the best of her talent and abilities and gifts to this world. She was real, she was truthful, she was tactical, she was full of energy anytime she mounted a stage. And so we would miss her.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that we'd have a second Tina Turner coming up.
Oh, if you was close, I don't know about now. Also joining us from the NDC is my brother and lawyer, the man Victor Wonder Nukto, and he's here with us this morning. He's now been called to serve, and so he's a serviceman now. And lawyer, thank you so much for joining us this morning. He's also a member of the NDC National Executive Committee, executive member, and the legal team, part of the legal team as well. And this morning he's helping us with the conversation. Good to see you, bro. You good?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
You people are going on strike.
No, that's the judicial service.
Oh, okay. You don't belong to that. Oh, so you are.
The bar is different from the bench.
Okay. So you are free to do.
Yes, please. Just that once the judicial service are on strike, it delays.
Oh. Processes.
Exactly. Because if, for example, a bailiff who is supposed to serve a process is on strike, definitely to affect the court work. So we just hope that this thing is resolved quickly. It's unfortunate that the strike started on the very day that the Chief Justice
also retired.
Yeah, so I thought that, they should allow him to retire peacefully. Then they could have started the strike today. But they did that the very day the Chief Justice was retiring. I thought it was quite on the low side. But well, under this difficult NPP government, what do you expect?
And the word is difficult.
Things are hard. Things are hard. Maybe for our senior government officials, maybe they are comfortable.
We'll get to that. But what we do is we get to the newspapers, the front page. We all read some of them, and then we'll pick some of the issues, maybe 3 or 4, and then we can delve into it. So let me start with Pagrave, where he has the Chronicle this morning.
So I have the Chronicle, and I'd like to begin with a scripture at the lower banner, which is Proverbs chapter 12, verse 1. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. And on the front page, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Lord's Bank of Ghana, cybersecurity alertness. On page 2, I found a story of interest, which is Jinapo Court's new drubbing chiefs support for Green Ghana Day. On the front page, that is the minister responsible for lands and natural resources. On page 7, Ghana holds positive talks with AFDB for stability fund support. And I think that my final would be on entertainment. Kofi Kinata, I always cry when I perform Thy Grace One song.
Yeah. That's a very strong song, you know, speaks a lot. Okay, so that's for the Chronicle. So why don't you go on Daily Guide?
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
Daily Guide. It says NPP Guru storm Assin North for another by-election. One story that really caught my attention is on page 6. It says we will be disciplined with IMF deal. The president is saying that as a nation we will be disciplined. His government will be disciplined with the new IMF deal. And then you can look at the ruling this from the Supreme Court. No licensing. It has the picture of His Lordship Justice Jones Duche, who I understand will probably be retiring next month from the Supreme Court. They've served this country very well. They've come out with some very good judgment, and we should be grateful as a nation for having these great minds serving the Supreme Court of Ghana. Also on the front page, it says, Boga MP back in court for criminal trial. That is how the Daily Guide put it.
Okay.
Let me see. Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, I believe one of the ministers, on page 15 says, is captured here as, let's invest in creative arts industry. Also caught my attention. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that's for the Daily Guide. So let me see the ones I have here. I have the Finder. The Finder says BOG moves against cyber threats as VIP commissions robust infrastructure, and the IMF directs BOG to scrap supply of cheap dollars to the BDCs, and the Green Ghana Ministry courts Omahine's support. That's the Finder this morning. And let me see what else we have over here. The Business Finder is also here, and it says, okay, so that's for the Business Finder. Sorry, so that's the front page of the Business Finder. Daily Graphic says, AU at 60, silence the guns, armed conflict threat to AFCFTA, Professor Enchi Danso warns. And also, over here it says that three SHS suppliers give NAFCO 2-week ultimatum, and mental cases increasing, data reviews. Chief Justice Anim Yabua retires, and that's the Daily Graphic this morning. Another one over here says that has company laws sculpted justice get through the Tokonu for Ghana? There's a big question mark over there as well. Let me see if I can get one last one, which has to do with showbiz, and says Gamro should be closed down. Akosua Japan says so. And also, so those are the front pages of the different newspapers that were read this morning. Let's take a look at, and I'd like Mr. Patrick to pass his comment on JUSSAG as well. JUSSAG is going on strike. They said some unpaid salaries that are supposed to be given to them have not been given to them yet. In fact, they have tried as much as possible to listen to the government, but it doesn't seem to be working. And so they've decided that they're going for an indefinite strike, including some of their other inside members as well. The JUSSAG, which happens to be the ladies' association in the same association as well, they're also going on strike. And so I don't know how we're going to go about this, but what do you make of it?
So, KMJ, my resolve really on agitations are for peaceful negotiation. I'm aware that Kola government had a stake on Kola in terms of giving Kola to public servants. I'm also aware that government increased salaries of public servants from January of 2023. And so I'm surprised to see that the judicial service team would go on strike over Kola. But I'm certain that these issues will be resolved. We know that legal break is upcoming in July. So I'm sure that they want the attention of government before the.
I think that's the main issue.
The legal break comes on. But I mean, Kola is cost of living allowance.
Yeah.
I know that we had sorted out these issues long ago. But I mean, let's see the veracity of the issues. Government is always at the negotiating table to make sure that we assist the Ghanaian workers.
But is that not where it generated into, what it has generated into right now, in terms of the negotiations you're speaking about? Did that not happen? If it did, what was the agreement? Who didn't understand what? Because before it gets to a strike action, I'm sure the negotiations you were mentioning would have taken place.
No, this is new to me, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, so at the labor front, I was part of the government team that did the negotiation for the increment of salaries, and that was done in January. So salaries were increased by 30%. So that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that COLA is still on the table for conversation. Because as far as I was concerned, I felt that COLA had ended in December. And then, so I'll look into the veracity of this issue. But really, to the merit of it, to state that government is always ready to negotiate with workers in the judicial team. And then also, government would always want to seek a peaceful dialogue rather than agitations. I mean, you are aware the very great input that these judicial team put in place in terms of bailiff and even sittings in courts. The impact is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So rather than going on an indefinite strike, I think that it will be good for your leaders in terms of union leaders to come to the table for negotiation and conversations.
You want to pass any comment on that?
Yeah, briefly. Coincidentally, yesterday, myself and my senior brother was on a sister station yesterday around the same time. The issue of allowance strike, kind of quietly discussed. We discussed it, how GBC workers threatened to go on strike and all of that because the allowances, although agreed by the collective agreement, has not been implemented. And my worry, as I said yesterday, was that this should not be happening in other institutions. Only for us to leave the show and we got to hear of the judicial service going on strike. So my problem is not even about the agreement, but the implementation as well. Government must be clear on it. If it is the money that is not available, government should be clear with the workers. But to agree with them and then later not go by what has been agreed sometimes brings about some bad faith. And like you rightly said, the judicial service is an important sector as far as the justice sector is concerned. So if you do not motivate the workers very well, it can affect justice delivery in the country. I cited an example that if a bailiff, already lawyers are complaining that, look, if you don't motivate bailiffs, they don't self-process and all that. These are known facts, that if you don't motivate bailiffs, they don't self-process and all of that. So if the little allowances they are supposed to get from government is not coming, it will make work difficult, and if you don't take time, it will affect clients. Because if a lawyer is struggling to get bailiff to self-process, the lawyer may probably have to pass on those other costs that may come with the work to clients. And when I say clients, it's Ghanaians. It can be any of us at any point in time. So my plea to the government is that anytime they agree with the labor force, they should fulfill their part of it. And some of us are happy in a way that the IMF money is in. We just hope that it is put in proper use, and some of us will give the president the benefit of the doubt, as he stated that they will be disciplined with the usage of the money. So we hope that the government become disciplined in the usage of this money. Thank you.
Okay, so since you've spoken about the IMF deal, that's Daily Guide. This one, it says we'll be disciplined with the IMF deal, and that says so. Let's touch on that. Some reviews are supposed to be done for some of the things that have been mentioned with regards to making sure that they are actually put in proper perspective, especially in the free SHS would also go on the review. I mean, this review thing came up some time ago, and it was as if the president or the government did not really want to do the review thing. But looks like now we've gotten to that point where, and I'm sure Mr. Pagre would give us some understanding on that. The NDC at a point were very aggrieved, and the fact that they wanted some review done with the free SHS and some other things that they feel that was giving a burden to the country. Now we've decided, Kojo Nkrumah spoke about it, and he actually expressed the decision of the government to actually review some of these, implementation of some of these things that the government listed right from the beginning, including free SHS. How is that? So, way to go?
So KFJ, just to buttress a bit more of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's statement as it relates to the IMF. Ghana presented an enhanced program to the IMF. the IMF is in this country primarily for a number of reasons. I think that there are 6 key indicators that we are looking to achieve. I mean, beyond our balance of budget statement reviews, we're looking into ensuring that our debts become sustainable over the long haul. So that's one of our key major focus for the IMF program. The second really is for fiscal consolidation for a number of our projects that we do in country economically. The third is to strengthen our monetary and exchange rate policies. You'll recall sometime as of last year, our CD was depreciating and the exchange rate was escalating in the hours. Now, the exchange rate has become credibly stable and stabilized. And the Ghanaian CD is appreciated very significantly against the global trading US Forex. And so the goal is to ensure that we strengthen the monetary and exchange rate policies. The fourth really is to continue our efforts in building stronger financial institutions in the country. The fifth for us is to make sure that we have strong macro-critical structural reforms. And as we look into the peace and stability of the sub-region of West Africa, issues that happen in Sudan and all of the other issues, we want to be able to ensure that we invest heavily in peace and security. Peace is quite expensive. And if you take that for granted, then you have yourself to blame. And the final thing why we have IMF in country is to ensure that we constantly have the economic growth and transformation. So the IMF program has come in to protect the lives and livelihood of the vulnerable and the poor people. I can appreciate that there are calls for reviews of our government's policies. Obviously, I mean, definitely any government worth its salt at various challenging times would want to review some of their policies. But I'm in no doubt in my mind that the policies that we have sought to put in place from 2017 up until date has not just become President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's policies, but it's become a civic responsibility for the Ghanaian people. Why do I say so? There are various stages within which policy implementation goes through. The first is that the political party will bring out the policies. Should they win election, then it becomes the government policies. And then when the Ghanaian people begin to buy in and appreciate and understand it and live by it in terms of ethos, then it becomes a civic responsibility for the Ghanaian people, which means that it would outlive your government. One of them is free SHS, overwhelmingly supported by the Ghanaian people, industry players. When you go to various rural communities, you can see the impact of free SHS and how people who otherwise would not have had an opportunity to go to senior high school now do have an opportunity. I have some friends who recount every time that anytime they go to their villages, they come back with tears. And reason is that whilst they were young and they were in high school, some very brilliant people did not have an opportunity to go to high school because their parents didn't have money. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has made that a possibility, where now young people are off the streets because they can go to free SHS. It's the doing of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And so if Ghanaians are asking for a review of it, sizable part has been actualized. It's become a civic responsibility for the Ghanaian people, and the roadmap has been set in place. One district, one factory, in terms of industrializing the Ghanaian economy. We've put that in place. We've built well over 100 plus factories in country, which has also become a civic responsibility because government created that enabling environment to ensure that private sector strives. Today is AU Day, and one of the themes that AU is looking at, if you may kindly just look through, today is 60 years after the OAU Charter was signed, and they're looking into a very significant theme for this year, and is to look at accelerating the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area to bring greater prosperity to the continent of Africa. And clearly, Ghana is in a very best position now, having the AFCFTA headquartered in Ghana, clearly to be able to expand trade from Ghana to the rest of the world. And so now people in Ghana can send trade goods from Ghana all the way to Johannesburg, from Ghana to Botswana, from Ghana to Niamey. People in Togo can bring things to Ghana. And so that rich inter-Africa trade is going to expand very well. And the research has stated that by the time the entire world gets to 2063, Africa is going to have the highest number of young people in terms of 1 billion young people, and the world is gradually growing. And so to have trade at the bedrock of it clearly means that you should have a government that is thinking trade, a government that is thinking global economy, a government that when sits around the G20 table and a government that sits around the BRICS table would be competitive enough, which is why the rest of the global world is looking into Africa, because the next future of the world is in Africa.
Interesting. Wanda. So, I mean, it's clear that some things, policies have to be looked at, reviewed, and make sure that. Is this something that you think the NDC projected? We spoke about this. We could have done this long time ago, not when we're waiting for IMF. We could have still made some, progress with it.
Yes, and a classical example is the free SHS. And one thing that surprised some of us, if you look at the NPP manifesto, they had a lot of promises. One district, one factory. One village, one dam. Free SHS. All sorts of policies. And the major policy that they attempted to implement was the free SHS.
They implemented or attempted to implement?
They implemented poorly, at least as per the IMF reports.
You think that's the state right now?
Oh, yes.
The free SHS has been poorly
The concept is good. The concept is good. No two ways about that. The concept is good, but it hasn't been managed properly. And you see, largely because of the difficulty with the government to listen to key stakeholders. Even before we got to IMF, before we got here, they said that, look, e-levy was there. Once Parliament passed e-levy, our problems solved, and that we don't even need to go to IMF. Then these are the times said, no, rather subscribe to IMF, looking at the situation we projected. Then people said, no, once they pass e-levy, we are done as a country. Oh, there's no problem. Only for e-levy to be passed, and then government makes U-turn and takes us back to IMF. I'm just saying this so that you know the kind of government we are dealing with. So me, I wasn't surprised when the president said we have to be disciplined. It tells you that at some point in time, the government has been indisciplined as far as the management of the economy.
That's what he meant?
No, to a large extent. I mean, he's calling for that there will be discipline. And for me, I thank the president for saying that they hope to be disciplined. I thank him for saying that, because in my view, respectfully, the government has been indisciplined as far as the management of this economy is concerned. And my worry, my fear is the factors that causes financial indiscipline. Is the urge to get political power at all costs. Let's take Kumawu by election as an example. A week or two to election, we started constructing roads. Let's look at it as a country. Started constructing roads. Just 2 weeks to the election, just because we want power. 2 weeks to the election, now all of a sudden we have money and we are constructing roads. You could see some videos, people sharing rice.
The people of Kumawu saw that and still voted for the NPP.
We'll talk about there are a lot of factors that go into election. We can't
the margin.
That. Oh, if we talk
in
about
terms of votes,
I don't want that.
Is that I'm not sure we want to delve into that.
Yes.
It's because of where you're coming from.
Yes.
I want us to understand better. If somebody decides to construct road for you in 2 weeks to an election, and you know as a people that this is the situation, and you still go ahead and vote for the person, are there not some remote reasons why the person would still go ahead and vote for the party?
I mean, I like to normally rely on facts. The energy minister quite recently said, "Oh, Alpha Asante region, the only thing they need to give the people is T-shirts, and that for them they will vote for NPP at any time." He said that.
And it meant the T-shirt was the one that is doing the voting for them.
I'm just trying to let you know how the energy minister sees his own people. You understand? So there are a lot of factors going to election, but I don't want to talk about that now. I'm sure we'll discuss the by-election, but back to this whole financial discipline. That is how they've managed this economy. And they need to show some commitment. If you say you'll be disciplined by now, the size of government, let us know that you are committed. Look at the size of government. The attendant costs. Over 120 ministers. Article 71 holders. That is where we are as a country. And proud to the NPP taking over power, what was the debt to GDP? It was barely about 56%. As we speak now, the debt to GDP is over 100%. Again, I always like to stick to facts. The facts, the finance minister said, Ghana, we are financially stressed. We are unable to service our debt. That is the true state of our economy. So if the president is saying that we have to be disciplined, it's a welcome call. And we hope that will be disciplined. We hope that the government that is led by the president will be disciplined. Because the fact as it stands now point out that the NPP government has been indisciplined. Thank you.
Zbag, if you want to react to anything.
Well, just to state on principle and evidential basis that our government hasn't got 120 ministers.
110?
We don't have 110 ministers.
How many do we have now?
Our numbers is in the 80s.
86?
Yes. So our government hasn't got 120. So that's not the truth.
Is that 86, eh?
It should be debunked.
I think 2 years, a year or so ago, it was around 110.
No.
And then it came around 86, 80 something. I'm not sure it's around 110 now.
In this government,
But it used to be 110, eh?
In this
It was around that.
In this government of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as we speak now, we don't have 120 ministers. We don't have that. Our ministers are ranging between the 80s. That's the number that we have. In this government of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we don't even have deputy regional ministers. We have single ministers in all the regions, from Greater Accra all the way to Western North. It's an individual each. And so this government has been extremely prudent. I talk about discipline. The government of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has not been indisciplined as it relates to the running of the Ghanaian economy. And I say that on factual basis. Now, the opportunities that we have had in terms of managing of this Ghanaian economy, when we spoke about the mobile money interoperability, the then NDC government had billed close to about 1.5 billion in terms of what they were going to use to do mobile money interoperability. When our government came, through the leadership of the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that was done with less than 5 million in terms of the implementation of that. And so there are many examples that I can put in place. I've spoken severally and I've stated that I'm putting together my research data to come and debunk the IPPs in the energy sector, how our government has had to always save the Ghanaian people close to about 1.5 billion, put it in the budget every single year to pay for energies that we do not use. And there are 8 companies that we pay to. That contract was signed at the very tail end leading into the 2016 general election. I have the names of the companies. I will begin to put them out.
The NDC-owned companies?
Say that again.
They are NDC-owned companies. Or?
Very, very high influenced. Yeah. Very, very high influenced. And I'm going to be putting that out very soon. And so we talk about prudent management of the Ghanaian economy. I think that the Ghanaian people have evidence to see. People build Kwame Nkrumah Circle and call it Dubai. And people that have traveled to Dubai, when you go to Palm Jumeirah doesn't look like that. The amount of money that was sunk in there, we sunk in less to even construct interchanges. So we talk about prudent management of the Ghanaian economy. The NPP government, the government of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been more disciplined. Even in the midst of these challenges that we have had, we have sought to improve the lives and livelihood of the Ghanaian people. Senate has increased pensions percentage. No government has done that. Their government, in the then NDC, did not even increase public servants' salary by 30%, even when the economy was booming. In our economy where we are plunged with COVID-19 globally, in our economy where we are plunged with war of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the impact thereof, in an economy where even the United Kingdom is running for aid globally, I think that anyone who says that our government has not been disciplined is not looking into the crystal ball very well. When you look into the hourglass, you would see that every single microsecond, those suns that come out of the hourglass is an indication of an effective management of the Ghanaian economy by our president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, together with the entire management team of the economic management team. So I won't say that. On e-levy, you know, KMJ, I get very surprised when e-levy comes up. And I'll tell you why. Because you see, when our government said, and I sometimes I don't want to go back, but when our government said that we're not going to go to the IMF, we said that on the premise that the minority side of parliament will aid in government business with the passage of the electronic levy at a time when we so desire that it pass. Now, it was dragged well over 6 months. And I seek to always say this, look, there are certain stages we can play politics, but there are certain stages is on the life and livelihood and development of the Ghanaian people. When development comes, like people talk about Kumewu, we are done with the elections, but the roads are completed and they are there. The roads are not going to go to its former state.
It didn't matter what time it came.
It doesn't matter. It was timetabled, it was planned. Developmental projects were going on in Kumewu as at the time even Honorable Baswa was alive. We had sought to start the construction of a district hospital. We've done boreholes in Kumewu. We've brought libraries to Kumewu. We've built one district, one factory for buffer stock warehouse. So huge developmental projects were ongoing in Kumewu. E-levy was a game changer and still is a game changer. Today, people pay 1% for electronic levy. And if you travel around the world, the moment you arrive into any country, maybe say you arrive into Heathrow, United Kingdom, the moment you arrive, the entire system is wired such that even if you're spending 10 days, you will contribute to the economy. That's what it is. And so for Ghanaians that so desire that this country develops and strives from middle income to a first class world country, we need to be very disciplined in the payment of our taxes. E-levy sought to consolidate and expand our tax bracket because the digital economy had grown significantly because of the works that our government had put in place with making the digital economy grow. Today, and I've said it over and over again, young people have an opportunity to trade online. Why? Because our government has made that a possibility. In a country where every single Ghanaian and even non-Ghanaians have mobile SIM cards to the tune of about 44 million SIM cards, which is more than the population of this country. If you seek to think outside the box, KMJ, you tell me, where would you think? And where would you look? You will look into the mobile number that people have and then try to turn it into a mobile bank account. And I've stated, until our government came, the informal sector was not structured. Our government has structured the informal sector. So today, every single person has a bank account because your mobile money is a bank account. You can trade with your mobile money and even get a loan with your mobile money. Because of the efforts of digitalization that we have put in place, we have linked the Ghana card to your mobile money, the Ghana card to your GPS, the Ghana card to your tax number, your Ghana card to your Senate number, and even now your Ghana card is your NHIS number. So the country and the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo really seeks to make life very easy and very simple. Yesterday in a meeting with some diasporans who have come into Ghana, we're extremely excited that when you get to Kotoka International Airport, you do not need to go through the cumbersome moments of filling the embarkation form because our government has sought to digitalize.
That's effective now. I saw Lydia Forson tweeted yesterday, last night or so, that she's very excited that we don't have to fill the form again.
Yes, it's been effective. And so that's a forward-thinking government. There is no government that has managed this economy in very difficult times, especially even surrounded by Forbes Africa and surrounded by global leaders of the important leadership that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has brought into this country. And so our government has done extremely well. This has been very challenging with a sandwich of issues that we have faced. But I can assure the Ghanaian people, in the next few months leading into the 2024 general election, they are going to see how stable this country is going to be. And they are going to give NPP the choicest of opportunities to lead the next government in 2025. The Ghanaian people have shown that they are tired of NDC. I know. They tell me they have shown that they are tired of NDC. The Ghanaian people have shown, especially with the Kumewu elections, that the NPP political party is the party of choice. And I am in no doubt in my mind that the Assin North election will be the light of day for the NPP. And I send a word of caution and advice to my senior brother whose case is in court. It's not been finalized yet, but there are criminal issues as it relates to the time when he denounced his citizenship to Canada. And all of that. I would give him an advice because you see, we have judicial precedents of one of our former MPs who was not even a sitting MP at the time. The then NDC went to bring him and put him in jail. He was in jail, and after he was given a pardon, a few days afterwards, he died. If you seek to serve in the public, I think that the onus really lies on you. That if you so hold any other dual citizenship, you denounce it as early as possible, so you don't get yourself into these issues. But I'm confident that we'll win the Assin North.
Very confident about that as well.
We are working
another
very
situation.
It's going to be a very resounding victory for the New Patriotic Party. And Assin North people are happy that their incoming MP is going to be an MPP person. And the size of Parliament in terms of the majority will be stronger, leading up to
that's what you've always wanted.
Absolutely. But that's what we have. We have the size of majority.
At this moment.
We have the size of majority. And so we'll be stronger. And I'm sure that the running of the affairs of the latter part of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's governance is going to be extremely smooth.
So let's get into the Assin North elections, by-elections then, since Mr. Pagrive has gone into it.
Yeah, but just before then, just some issues. Respectfully, I still hold the view strongly that the NPP government has been very indisciplined as far as the management of the economy is concerned. And my worry is that this indisciplined nature of the government is moving to the corporations, government corporations and agencies. You recall some 2-3 days ago, the board chairman of GNPC sought to sell Ghana's interest in Anadapo to Petro South Africa. It took the intervention of the minister. So this indiscipline that we are talking about is not only a thing of the presidency, it's descending to the agencies. We want to sell out our interest to a foreign company. And if that had gone through, the earnings of 50% would have been lost. And that is how and you know the board chair of GNPC happens to be the former national chairman of the NPP.
Freddie Blair.
Yes. And
there's been a call out for him to actually resign. He just feels that it's the president's prerogative, and so whatever the president says, he's fine. But as that is not happening, you don't expect him to say, "Oh, he wants to resign," or he's resigning.
The call out was from which groups?
Well, obviously, that's where it will definitely come from.
Yes, the collapse is even from the civil society groups.
Do you think so?
Yeah, oh yes, it's there. I mean, they've issued a statement and all of that. And I'm happy that nobody is even playing politics with it. Ghanaians are seeing it for themselves. Society, I'm happy you brought it up. The civil society group are calling for the resignation of the board chair. And you have a former national chairman of the ruling government trying to sell out government interests, the interests of the people of Ghana to a South African company. Is this not colonialism, new colonialism, trying to give us back to South African firm? For how much? And this is how indisciplined the NPP government has been. And I must point out that the NPP, within their first term, had deputy ministers. So if maybe going forward, they've taken clue, they've tried to learn some few lessons, and they have decided not to appoint deputy minister, that's okay. It's commendable to some extent. I mean, I give credit where it's due. But within their first term, they had deputy ministers all over. I come from the voter region. I knew very well they had deputy ministers.
The period of 4 years?
Yes, their first term.
So that call, the decision to drop the deputies, you think came at the time when there were calls for the president to reduce the size?
Oh, yes. So if they have decided not to have deputy ministers, that's okay. The issue about e-levy, I'm surprised that they keep shifting the goalposts. We're all in this country. When they say that, look, The finance minister was clear that we don't need to go to IMF. In fact, when we last visited IMF, there was a Kenke party, a Wache party at the Ministry of Finance. Cheering, happy that we are no longer with the IMF. Celebrating. And the finance minister was clear that we don't need an IMF. And that e-levy, they even went to the extent that the NDC was making governance difficult. We don't want to pass the e-levy. Then this was trying to say, no, put the politics away, we are giving advice. At least you're in power, listen to us. They said, no, e-levy. We pass the e-levy, then you turn around, move to IMF, then you are back. You don't even have the moral courage to even apologize to the people of Ghana.
But he explained that the passage of the e-levy dragged, and it was the reason they had to make that decision.
That's why I say,
because they were, for
shifting the goalposts.
For months they were, back and forth with the e-levy. And I'm sure we all experienced that.
You look at it objectively. So it was the 1 month. So they expect that when bills go to Parliament, it's rubber stamped. Was that their anticipation before they tried sending the e-levy to Parliament? Is that the kind of government we have? Factor that your policy decision making. You factor it. So how strong was the e-levy then? If a 1 month delay can collapse the entire program. It was a very cheap program they were introducing to Ghana. Make a U-turn and go to IMF. And you want to justify this. And it's instructive. There's some over 80 MPs with the ruling government had called for the resignation of their own finance minister. It's instructive. Not NDC MPs, oh. The MPs that he's saying that, they even want to win Assin North to get more numbers to strengthen the majority. Your own MPs, the majority MP, they said, we don't want the finance minister. So it's not even about getting more seats in Parliament. It's about, we'll even listen to your MPs. That should be the argument. Even if you get all the seats, will government listen to them? Over 80 ministers said, look, we don't want this finance minister. But he still has paused. Of course, constitutionally, the president has the right to fire, to appoint, and to disappoint. But if you are talking about, we are going to Assin North, we are going to win, we will strengthen the majority, what is the effect? What is the importance of all of this? If your own majority, you don't listen to them. That's why I'm saying that I'm happy and I hope that the president, as he said, will be disciplined in the new funds. I'm just hoping.
So what are the chances for the NDC with regards to the by-election?
Thank you. Now to the by-election. And let me touch briefly on Kumewu. Look, if you go into an election, you don't just look at the outcome in terms of who won. You also look at the actuals and the historical background. Since we started having competitive election in Kumewu, in Ghana, NDC had never won that seat. It's a known fact that it's a stronghold of the NPP. In the last election, NDC even came third. So if this by-election, NDC had come second, we have doubled our vote, over 50% increment, and you are happy. If NDC should get 50% increment in the vote we had in all the constituencies in the Asante region, we are good to go for 2024. All of that things being equal. So if you are happy because we have won Kumewu, it's like the NDC winning Angolong or Keta or Ketu South, then we are happy that we've won. But I would be worried if NPP should get 30% in Angolong, or 50% or 40%, or double their figures. I'll be worried. Even if NDC should win the seat and NPP double their figure in Ketu North or Keta, I'll be worried. So NDC, for me, it will agree that we won the seat. But if you are doing proper analysis, the actuals, then people should be thinking. And that by-election also expose the internal mechanism of the EC, the shortfalls that we have. You remember when the first notice of poll came, we have two independent candidates with two symbols, similar, Dove. I don't know whether you saw it on social media.
But the President, His Excellency, has congratulated Madam Jean Mensa for conducting the very best of elections over the period she's been in the office.
To give the background. So a week to the election, the EC now released a notice that the first notice of poll was in error. Their district officers did not consult them, and that they had impressed on the junior independent candidate to change his symbol, and he had refused. So they have now, using the law, has now changed his symbol and put a hole there for him.
They both had falcons.
Yeah.
And the EC felt it was right that one person changes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that the internal control. So if you knew all of this, why would we first issue the first notice of poll? Now the EC now explain it is their district office. So it means the internal control mechanism. That's what I'm pointing out. This is just one constituency. The whole attention is then these basic errors is happening. What about the next year election that we are going to have possibly 276 constituencies at the time?
So you think that nullifies the president's decision to congratulate
they've done well. But we need to also point out the shortfalls so that they can improve upon this.
Okay.
To be fair, the EC had done well.
Okay.
Yes, so the president's right to congratulate them. But let's point out the shortfalls. And we, as members of the opposition, these are some of the things we point out in an objective manner. And Ghanaians listening, we read meanings into it. Now let's move to Assin North. I just hope that they don't start again with this rose, and I'm sure my senior will tell me that it's already in their plan already. They've already planned. And somebody said something which was instrumental. He said that look, he had wished that the IMF money should delay small. But if we don't take time, these 2 by-elections, who consume the money?
Oh no.
No, all cannot finish, but you know that some.
That's not practical.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure we even saw some national officers of the NPP holding envelopes. You saw some rice. You saw the videos on social media, and I know you are very active. You saw all these things. I just hope that Assin North, this doesn't happen. Of course, all the IMF money cannot finish in Assin North.
And the NDC didn't do same in Kumawu. There was no distribution of any envelope from the NDC.
Why I noticed
I've seen what you're talking about, and I'm saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying that these are things that are almost with elections. So I'm asking, did the NDC not do the same?
I haven't seen a video of the NDC doing something, but I saw our national officers campaigning on the ground. Our national chairman was there, the general secretary was there, national officers, youth organizers, deputy were there campaigning. But at least the ones I have seen, I'm happy we've confirmed that you saw those videos that the NPP national officers were holding envelopes, and we could infer reasonably that they were managing.
Well, the people were saying they could have been also wrong with that, with respect to that. I mean, if somebody is speaking on national TV or an interview and they say, oh, they've given us this, and you don't have evidence to show for it, what they've given to you, where is it, and you don't have it. Others could probably show theirs, but if you're not having it, and you also say it doesn't mean everybody was giving that.
And I'm glad you said this has to do with elections. It means that we can have a national conversation on this.
Yeah.
How do we want our elections to be run? You see, I have also contested a delegate election before. How do we expect these elections to be run? Even when former president decided that to be transparent, that transport, which some of us knew very well, that a delegate coming from Tirekume to Angroga to come and vote at the NDC primaries will spend more than 40 cedi. Transport, the former president made it open that look, every delegate should get 40 cedi for transport. We are told that the special prosecutor
is invited.
Is inviting the former president. Meanwhile, we've seen videos of rice being shared on all of those. I know maybe the special prosecutor, I don't doubt him. I know maybe he will invite them very soon. We've seen national officers, national organizers specifically of the NPP holding envelopes, fat envelopes. Of course, I can't state the amount in it, but I can infer reasonably that they were managing those envelopes. And I'm sure our listeners also saw those videos. So I'm just hoping that going to Assin North, I'm sure, I have no doubt that the NDC will retain that seat. I have no doubt. Talking about the legal issues about it, you see, first and foremost, the Supreme Court have not given us the reasoning for their judgment. What went to the Supreme Court was not a criminal matter. What went to the Supreme Court was an interpretative matter. And in fact, the specific provision that came into question was Article 94 2A, about you owing allegiance to a country other than Ghana. That was what went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court had decided unanimously. And it went against the MP. There are no criminal issues now. You talk about precedent, the facts are not entirely the same. They are not on all fours. Now, there's no law that says that when criminal charges are pressed on you, you can't contest an election. Even if you look at the decision of the Supreme Court, it says that, look, at the time of filing, he had not renounced the citizenship. Although, as a matter of fact, the NDC has stated by the letter issued by the General Secretary, and as a matter of fact, before he was elected as a member of Parliament, he had renounced, he had set aside his Canadian citizenship. The document had come And the certificate of renunciation had come from the embassy here in Ghana. Before he was sworn in as a member of parliament, he has set aside his Canadian citizenship. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the judgment because the reasoning is not yet out. But even if you look at the judgment as it is, that at the time he was filing, he had not renounced his Canadian citizenship. As we speak now, does he still have citizens? Does he have Canadian citizenship? Respectfully, as we speak now. So nothing stops him from contesting. This issue that, something happened in the past, Adamu Sakandi and all, you should rather be happy that, even if he wins again, he could step aside and then maybe your NPP person, like you are saying, will win, since people are so particular about having majority of MPs without even we knowing their job in parliament. So that is my thoughts. And lastly, respectfully, mobile money numbers, no matter how it is dressed, shaped, can never be equated to account. Look at the banking laws. No matter how mobile money, the service they play, they can never be equivalent to an account. Because of mobile money, this and this now, every Ghanaian has an account. How can we make this conclusion? Can you issue check for someone to go to a mobile money vendor to go and cash out the check? It's not the same. It's not the same.
Was it not in reference to account as from mobile money banking to the real account, bank account? Because you can do that.
Progress has been made.
You can send money from your mobile money to your bank account.
Like I said, I admitted that they play some banking roles, they perform some banking function, basic.
But not entirely.
Yes. So the fact that they perform some banking function does not mean that we cannot equate them. That now we can say comfortable that every Ghanaian has a bank account because we are using mobile money. How can you make this argument? If we say that we should give you credit for improving mobile money services and a lot of people are using it, fair. But to now go a step and say, because they are using mobile money, every Ghanaian has a bank account. I mean, this argument is slow. Thank you.
Okay. We've got 2 minutes to actually wrap up. I'm sure there are other significant issues you want to touch on, and then we can say goodbye for today.
Yes, I mean, we can have the mobile money debate on and on, but I still stand respectfully that once you have a mobile money account, you have a bank account. Now, banking laws and banking regulations and the fact that you are able to do transactions is basic enough that I can be able to do transactions from my Momo account to another Momo account. I can take a loan, a soft loan with my Momo account and repay back. All of those KPIs is indicators that you have a bank account. Verifiable. On e-levy, the NDC side of Parliament did not store e-levy for 1 month. They stored it for 6 months.
The back and forth with
from December, 6 months, they stored it. And so it wasn't a 1 month. And e-levy is still a game changer. Now, KMJ, there's been 31 by-elections in this country. The NPP has won 16 of those. 31 by-elections. The NPP has won 16 of those. NDC has won 13 of those. One went to CPP and then one went to an independent candidate. And so when we talk about elections and by-elections, I think that the facts are clear on the table, that the NPP has a commanding lead always on by-elections, and the precedence is there to set the record straight. KMJ, there is nobody in our government that is going to use the IMF money for electioneering, for the influence of electioneering, and I think that the argument is very low. It's very low for anyone to think that the enhanced program that our government has presented to IMF, for which reason IMF is issuing the money in tranches of 7, and of which we have received $600 million, anybody would want to purport to say that we are going to use some aspect of that money for electioneering, for by-election, for 2024 general election, for NPP internal election. I think that argument is below the belt. The IMF money is strictly going to be used for the intended purposes. Every 6 months, there's going to be a review of the enhanced program, and then the next tranches are going to come. We are very prudent management of the Ghanaian economy. We don't mismanage things. We don't add up figures. We don't inflate figures. We use the money for the right purposes that is intended to be used for. Now, KMJ, we look at the majority side of Parliament. The majority side of Parliament have always been very credible to the cause and leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. People have mentioned the call for the dismissal of the finance minister. And I've said it over and over again. Our finance minister, John Obukan Oforiatta, is one of the best finance ministers that this country have had. Unless, of course, people do not want to go into the merit of the issues to understand the gravitas of how he has managed prudently the Ghanaian economy. And if people want to be minded and reminded about, I think they should go and look at the censorship and look at the detailing of how we have managed the finances of the Ghanaian economy and how we have been prudent with the technical management, the monetary policy from Bank of Ghana, the fiscal consolidation from Ministry of Finance. I think that is low for anyone to want to continue to ask for his step aside when we are implementing an IMF program, which he led. And so I don't think that we are in those days yet. Our government has very serious issues to deal with. We have a country to govern. We have a blessed people to bless them on a regular basis. And I mean, no doubt in my mind that in the 2024 general election, and I keep saying that, the Ghanaian people would continually choose the New Patriotic Party. The Ghanaian people are tired of NDC. I don't know about you.
So as it stands now, the finance minister is not going anywhere.
Well, I've not said so.
Okay.
I am saying that the finance minister, the Honorable Ken Oforiatta, has performed creditably well. And left to me alone, I think that the finance minister should be allowed to perform his very good work that he began from the first term of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and present the final budget of the president last term in 2023 in November. So I would vouch for the staying of the finance minister because he's been a man of integrity. He loves the country. He served his people. He saved the Ghanaian people a lot of revenue. He's done exceptionally well. And I'll vouch for him any single day.
Okay, interesting. So a quick one before we wrap up. You good?
No.
No, so be quick for me. Our time is up.
Yeah, basically, when we say that the NPP government has been indisciplined, there's basis. There's enough basis. Before they took over power, the debt to GDP was around 56%. Now it's over 100%. And there's nothing to show. You remember during the COVID, the president said we are going to have 88 district hospitals. I believe you remember. Not even a single one has been completed. Look at the project that have been abandoned. Nothing to show. Or they've over-borrowed, and all is being used for recurrent expenditures to pay salaries, pay ministers. He confirmed today they have about 86 ministers. So all those money is to service themselves. Nothing to show. So the NPP government has been indisciplined. Now, this morning, we've also been told that mobile money, that the fact that you have a mobile money number, automatically you have bank account. Meanwhile, the same government had collapsed banks for not meeting some requirements. Those mobile monies, have they met those banking?
But that, according to them, was done in the interest of the banking sector. Decisions that had to be taken to make sure that the banking sector was clean.
So granted, so the mobile money person operating near my community has met those requirements. So are all those mobile money vendors now bankers? I'm trying to use this logic. That the mere fact that you can withdraw money and deposit. Once you have a mobile money number, you have a bank account. Do you also need a Ghana card to withdraw money at a mobile money vendor? Because now there's a law that if you don't have a Ghana card, you cannot do any banking transaction. So if you tell us that mobile money numbers automatically are bank accounts, do you need Ghana card as the only means of withdrawing money or depositing money? I mean, let's admit certain things and move forward as a country. He's talking about they win the next election. For the NPP, it has always been about winning election. They do not care as to how to manage the economy. And that's how they've been indisciplined. I will not sit here and say, automatically the NDC will win the next election. The Ghanaian people will judge for themselves. Look, majority of the majority MPs in parliament are saying they don't want the finance minister. Over 88 of them, openly in a press conference, voluntarily said they called on the president to have the finance minister step aside. In fact, the president has to kind of go into a concession with them, like, look, give me some time. the man is trying to complete the IMF deal. After that, we will look at the issues. Majority of the majority MPs, unfortunately, do not agree with my brother here. They say they don't want the finance minister. You say he has performed credibly. Majority of your majority MPs, which you are trying to even go and get Assin North in addition, say that they don't want the finance minister. He has totally collapsed the economy. In fact, the finance minister himself said, Ghana, we are debt stress. We are bankrupt. That is the state of Ghana. The NPP are indisciplined.
Okay, that'll be all for this morning. Mr. Parker, pick up the book of how do you describe that book?
You know, these are facts on the ground of what we have used.
This is the second time we're seeing this book here. The last time
of what we have used.
They should let us have it.
What we have used.
They should let us have it, and then we'll see.
The Ghanaian people's money for. Because this is a public document. It's available in Parliament. Your side of.
Honorable Timothy wants one. I don't know whether you've been available.
I've told him it's available in Parliament. You know these things. If you're a good student of governance, you should have these things in your life.
The 88th hospital is in which page?
You see, it's key and instrumental to state that at the backbench of COVID-19, the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo audaciously said we're going to build 111 district hospitals, and I can tell you that all 111 district hospitals are at various stages of completion.
Okay.
They are various stages of completion.
What do the politicians say in various stages? You know what it means?
One of them. And there is not any evidence to show that the monies we have taken have not been used judiciously. We have upgraded and built many airports in this country.
They've been indisciplined.
Airport, Tamale Airport, Kumasi Airport, all those airports have been upgraded.
Okay.
And if you say that there's no evidence to show of the monies that we have borrowed, I think that
they've been indisciplined.
Only by election.
He mentioned 31 by elections.
A big thank you to Mr. Parker for coming through this morning. Government spokesperson on governance and security, and also from the NDC, we had my brother, the lawyer, the freshest lawyer in town, lawyer Wanda Victor Kuto, joining us this morning. He's also an executive member, national executive member of the NDC, and part of the legal team as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you here. I'm sure next week we'll do this again. But that's our news flash this morning.